Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again, and welcome back to WWE Fans TV Recap Show. And today's recap show will be for The Flash. So, this episode of The Flash is entitled Family of Rogues. Now, before we get into this episode, of course, spoilers are ahead, so if you have not seen this episode, please do not watch this review because it's going to contain heavy spoilers. But if you have seen the episode, or if you just don't care about spoilers, continue on watching. So let's get into the episode. So what this episode is basically about, it's about, Liz, who is, Golden Glider. She's Captain Cold's brother. What she comes to Barry, Cisco and Caitlin. She's like, my brother's been kidnapped. And, Flash is like, oh, why should we help you? Yada, yada, yada. So Flash decides to go and find him. And he sees that, no, he hasn't been captured. No, Captain Cold is actually working with his father. And, basically Flash has to try and take down Captain Cold and his father. So, yeah. So what did I think of this episode? Another great episode from The Flash, honestly. This was another great episode. I loved this episode. It was such a fantastic episode, in my opinion. I loved mostly every second of this episode. It was a great episode. So, yeah. So, let's get into my positives. And my positives are, the acting with the episode. The acting was pretty great with this episode. Everybody did a great job in this episode. I thought everyone did a nice job. Of course, Grant Gustin, he's great. He was great in this episode. I thought he was very good. Really enjoyed him. Definitely did a really great job in this episode. He's been really great in all of these episodes, and he shows it here why he's great and why, he does such a great job as the Flash. He was so great in this episode, did such a nice job. Wentworth Miller as Captain Cold, he's awesome as always. This is the best I've ever seen Wentworth Miller. He's not that good of an actor, but it seems like here he knows what he's doing, and it's awesome. And I really enjoyed him, and he was great in this episode. So, it's always nice to see Captain Cold. I enjoyed him in this episode, so yeah. Everyone else was great. I thought everyone else did a nice job in this episode as well. Daniel Panabaker as Caitlin, the guy who plays Cisco. Everybody else was great. I thought everybody did a nice job in this episode. The action was really good, especially in the last, few minutes of the episode. Action was really good in this episode. Not too much of it, but still, there was some action I thought was really good. Did a really nice job with the action, so yeah. The writing with the episode, the writing was really good with the episode. I thought the writing was very nice with this episode. The directing was incredible. Directing was great. I thought it was very nicely directed, in my opinion. Definitely this episode was very nicely directed, so yeah. The visuals actually looked really good in this episode. The visuals did look really good. Definitely they're improving from episode 1, which was garbage, but episode 3 had some really good visuals, so yeah. Let's talk about some of the moments in this episode, because there were some pretty cool moments in this episode, like we see really in the beginning of the episode when, Flash, Barry, he's just, doing some science stuff, and then Iris gives him a call, and she's like, he hears gunshots, so he has to go save Iris, and he tells Iris to jump out the window, and she's like, wait, what? And so she does, she jumps out the window, and Flash basically runs up the building and gets her in time, so that was cool. Nice little thing to start off the episode. Doesn't really get mentioned ever again, but it was a really, just sort of a nice way to start off this episode, so yeah. When Liz, of course, tells them that her brother's been kidnapped, and then when Flash tries to go and get him, he freezes him with his freeze gun, and, Barry now has a heat wave type of thing in his suit, so, whenever a situation like that happens, the ice can just melt. I like seeing that, so, yeah. Like in last week's episode, when, we found out that, Iris's mother is, back in town, when Joe finally tells her that, she's not dead, she's actually alive and everything. And that was actually a really nice scene. I actually really liked that scene. It was actually pretty nice in my opinion. You know, everyone did a nice job in that episode, especially the guy who plays Joe. He was really great in that scene. And, you know, and it seems like Iris is not going to, like, stay mad at him for telling him this. She was like, you know, you did the right thing. You were trying to protect me. Not like in certain someone in Arrow, like, you know, like, bull. But still, you know, I really like the fact that, she's not going to stay mad at him for the rest of the season for it. So, yeah. You know, also when Barry has to basically go undercover as a criminal for, so he can infiltrate, you know, I really liked that. That was actually kind of cool. Kind of, Barry has to go undercover as a criminal, which that was cool. And, you know, his father shoots Barry, but, of course, Barry caught the bullet because he's the fastest man alive. And, you know, when Barry, you know, as a Flash confronts them and tries to stop them, you know, also, I forgot to mention, they put bombs in their children's head. His father put bombs in Captain Cold's head and in Lisa's head. So, yeah. So, when he's about to blow up the bomb in Lisa's head, Cisco was able to get it out in time. And basically, Captain Cold kills his father. And, you know, basically kills him. And, you know, Flash, of course, takes him into, you know, CCBD. You know, now he's in jail now. So, yeah. And also, we see that, Flash and, that, like, Caitlin and Jay Garrett, who really took a back seat this episode, they created some way for them to get back home now. So, I like seeing that. That's cool. You know, and we see that, you know, I always forget his name, but the old man, the one that's Firestorm, he, you know, he collapses again, like something happened again. He collapsed and everything. So, yeah, we gotta see what happens next week with that. So, yeah. I do have two negatives, however, with this episode. My first negative is that, besides that one nice scene with the whole thing with the family and stuff, it just, I'm not really caring about this whole thing with Iris and her mother and Joe. I'm just not really caring for it, except for that one scene, because that one scene was really good. I really liked that. But besides that, I'm just not really caring about this storyline. This is kind of just a thrown-in storyline that I'm honestly not caring about. Maybe I'll care about it more when we get into more episodes, but right now I could care less about this. This could be really scratched off from this series, honestly, so yeah. And my last negative is that it kind of ends the same way as last week's episode. That kind of bothered me a bit. I was like, really? Did it have to really end the same as last week's episode? So yeah, but besides that, really enjoyed it. Oh, also, when we see Dr. Wells, he went through the portal. So, and like an end credits thing, he went through the portal. We gotta see what happens then, so yeah. But besides that, another great episode. I really enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed this week's episode of The Flash, so yeah. So it's time for my official grade on this episode, and my official grade on this episode is an A-. Great episode. I really enjoyed it, so yeah. So what do you guys think of this episode? Leave it in the comment section below. I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you about later. Peace.